Good morning. You know what time it is? It's coffee time. That's right, with Michael Sanchez. How's everyone doing today on this nice and cool Tuesday morning? I'm loving it though. I'm getting warmed up here with my coffee, so that's always a good thing. Anyway, I hope everyone's doing great so far. It's early week. It's Tuesday. Tuesday. Already the 12th of May. Wow, time is flying. Anyway, today's topic is chess and writing. Chess and writing. And a lot of people don't play chess, especially I don't know if my panel does, but we're going to try to get them in here and see what they know about it. I love playing chess. It's a cool game. You got to use a lot of your brains, if you will. You know what I mean? And we're going to try to see if my panel can, you know, give their insights regarding the comparisons and how much there's a lot of similarities to it that just people don't realize that. So we're gonna see how that works out with our panel and go from there. Hey Lorraine, you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me, Michael?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. Good morning. Good morning,
That
Dale.
sounds good. All right. Let's see. Deal.
Hello, can you all
You
hear
there?
me? I
You
can hear
there?
you.
Nice. So
Okay.
how's your week going so far? Even though it's still early.
Well, this is a wicked busy one. I got something every day, and it's hard to save the bandwidth for writing when you've got to, go in all these other places and be here and be there and be present. So it's it's a difficult thing when it all stacks up all together like that.
Gotcha. What about you, Lala?
Yeah, it's kind of a wicked week here. Lots of things going on, and social engagements, and a few appointments, and not much writing is happening this week. Sorry to say.
Yeah, hey, well, what are you gonna do? I haven't done any
It
writing
happens.
since I finished up that story, so man, I just needed a break, that's for sure.
Mike, did you
Anyway,
send those books to Lala?
Yes. Thank you. Thank you very much, Dale. Very informative. I am going to read all those with a fine tooth comb.
Excellent. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank
nice,
you,
nice.
sir.
Glad that can help out, and I appreciate Dale with that information. That's pretty cool.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
and
Very helpful.
today's
You
show,
hear me?
Mike. That's right in my wheelhouse. I'm a former chess champion, so I have some
Wow.
thoughts on chess and writing.
Can you hear me, guys?
Did you hear me?
Yes.
Can you
Okay.
read me?
Yep, we can still hear you.
Sorry about that, going in and out. So, anyway, all right. Today's topic again is chess and writing, and got a quote here. It says. How do you compare chess with writing? And it says when you play chess alone, it's always your move. How true that is. It's always your move. But nobody else is going to do it for you, right, guys?
Guess not.
Nobody else is going to do it for you. All right, I read a little blog here by an author uh, by the name of Winnie Griggs. She's a historical romance writer, and says playing chess and writing, and pretty much what the similarities are. And the first one, it says pretty much at first glance, chess and writing a book might seem worlds apart, which a lot of people believe that because they're like, what's the similarities? But anyway, it says both require strategic thinking, foresight, and creativity. What say you guys?
Yeah, very much so. And the issue is that in chess you're playing an opponent, but in writing you can think of it as the reader or as the resistance to the writing itself. And as you develop your game plan, your book, things are going to crop up which make you change your mind. You have to react to the ideas that come, the thoughts of making the game better. And if you make the wrong move, that means if you write something which really doesn't belong there, it can collapse the whole project, the whole game or the whole book or story, and make it a loss. but hopefully you'll learn from that and can make the next game that much better.
Yeah. I know, Lala, you don't play the game, but what do you think?
I have to agree with Dale, and I have been there, and you're writing, and sometimes you're right in the middle, in the meat of it, and you write something that just you look back and you think, wait a minute, this doesn't fit the beginning. It doesn't fit what happens in the future, and yeah, it's going to mess up your entire piece. I have had to go back and alter beginnings because of situations like that. Exactly.
There you go. All right. One of our first points it says setting up the board. Before the game of chess begins, you set up the board, placing each piece in a starting position. You determine which player goes first, which Dale mentioned. Similarly, in writing, you begin by establishing your setting, introducing characters, and laying the groundwork for your plot. What say you guys?
Yeah, there's standard openings in chess, which you know pretty much um, how you're going to do the moves you start with, and when they respond, you know how you're going to progress. Now, you have some set pieces in writing, the major plots, you have an idea of your characters and where you'd like them to go. However, you're going to be surprised. Things are going to crop up and you're going to adjust to that. But hopefully, you'll make a stronger position, a stronger story with all the happy accidents, as long as you're paying attention and focused on what you can do to make it better.
There you go. What say you, Lala?
Yeah, I don't know if I think I've mentioned this before about my writing. My writing is very different. I do outline, but I write characters, I write events on flashcards and out of sequence. And then what I do is, like a puzzle, I start arranging them, in order of, okay, what's going to go first, what's going to go next. So, that's pretty much my style. And you have to figure out, okay, should this go later on? Should this happen first? And I had a situation one time where I was with a publisher and she had me totally reverse and start my story with the ending and then move backward. It was really weird. Yeah, I did it and it worked.
There you go. All right. The
And,
second point here. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
oh, in chess, that would be like starting with the end game and working backwards.
Yeah, the end game. That's what it was. That's
That would
what
be
it was,
weird. Yeah.
the end game.
Yeah, it would be weird. All right. Second point. The opening moves. The opening moves in chess are about establishing control, positioning pieces to your best advantage. Now, with writing, your opening chapters serve to hook the reader, introduce key elements, and set the tone. What say you guys?
You do want to control the game, and in writing, you do want to control the story. The author should have that voice, that idea of what the story is and where it's going, to have an idea of how the game should go, what they want. And so you make the strongest move you can, you make the strongest opening you can, which will give you the best advantage with things going on.
What say you, Lala?
Yeah, I think that's true. You have to set the tone. I think if you don't know where it's going, this has happened to me before. I've changed moves. It's like, no, I don't want it to go that way, and then I go back and I change it. But I think you really need to have that sense of direction when you start. Otherwise, you're going in all different directions. You're going, this route and that route. So yeah, it kind of can drive you crazy.
Yeah, you're right. You don't want to screw up. Be careful which route you take, especially in a game of chess.
Hey,
You're
take the right
doomed.
route.
You're doomed. All right. Third point.
Dude.
Strategic planning. Both chess and writing involve a great deal of planning. In chess, you must think several moves ahead, anticipating your opponent's actions. With writing, you need a plot. You need to plot your story, consider character arcs, and foresee how different elements will interact and unfold. What say you guys?
Oh, sure. With writing, you're doing the foreshadowing, you're planting clues, you're setting scenes which will pay off later. You're basically putting a lot of things together that will pay off later in the game. That's just what you want to do.
What say you,
Yeah, with foreshadowing too. I have caught myself, and I've read other books where, yes, you have your foreshadowing, and sometimes you forget to play that out. If you're going to foreshadow, you better have that played out and have it come to fruition.
there you go. All right. Where are we at? Did I say strategic planning? That was the third point, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Number 4, mid-game development. The middle game in chess is where the strategy deepens. You develop your pieces, control key areas, and set up potential combinations. In writing, the middle of your book is where characters develop, subplots intertwine, and the main narrative gains momentum. What say you?
Yeah, the middle game is where things can get messy, both in writing and in chess. You have an idea of what you want, excuse me, but you have to react to what things are doing. And your book, a lot of times, authors sag in the middle. We've got a slam bang opening. We start developing, and then it's like, well, now where are things going next? And same as in a game. It's like, well, where's this actually going to go? What do I want to do? Do I want to do this side over here? Do I want to try to put some pressure on this side? Do I want to make this storyline better along these lines? How am I going to proceed? And sometimes you know what the ending's going to be, and you're like, how do I get to that ending from here? This messy, mixed up middle game. How do I get some of these pieces out of the way? How do I focus my forces? How do I complete this story to get to that lovely ending which I really crave and desire?
There you go. What say you, Lala?
Yeah, the middle, boy, that's always the hardest part. And I think with the middle, you are at that point where you got to make a decision that whatever happens in the middle has to evolve into what's going to happen in the end. Because if you're writing a bunch of stuff in the middle and it doesn't have any connection to what's going to happen in the end, why focus on it in the middle? So that middle part really has to be strategic, and it has to be a focus.
Absolutely.
All right. Point number 5, facing challenges. In both chess and writing, you encounter challenges. In chess, you face tactical threats and must protect your king while seeking to capture your opponent's pieces. In writing, you might deal with writer's block, plot holes, or character inconsistencies. What say you guys?
Yeah, sometimes you have realized that you've painted yourself into a corner, both in writing and positionally in chess, that you're like, I just don't know how to go forward from here. And in chess, you can't really take the moves back. But in writing, you're like, well, I might have to do a lot of rewriting, but I don't see a way to protect the heart of this story the way we are. I'm going to have to dismantle some things. And like Lala said, is just maybe reshuffle some things along to make it better. If you could do that in chess, like, if I can move that rook back over here and move that knight down there, I'd be in a lot better shape in this game. But you
Yeah,
can't do that. In
yeah,
writing, we get all the do-overs we want.
yeah. There you go. What say you, Lorraine?
Yeah, true. Very true about do-overs. Like I said, blocking yourself into a corner. You sit back and you look at your piece and you think, nah, this isn't going to work. This person isn't going to work with this, or this isn't going to. So yeah, you can step back and you can totally rearrange that piece. Yep.
Yeah, like Dale said, I wish we could do that in a real game. You can't do that. Once you scroll, that's it. That piece is gone. So
You're
yeah.
gone.
All right. Point number 6, sacrifices and risk. Chess often involves sacrifices. Give up a piece to gain a strategic advantage. Writing a book can also require sacrifices, such as cutting beloved scenes or characters for the greater good of the story. What say you guys?
Oh, yeah. They always say kill your darlings. It's like the meaning of that is if you've got something that you really like because it's well done, but it does not contribute to the ending that really needs to happen, you can't leave it in. It's like, oh, I've got this really good move, but that's really not going to fit right here because it leaves me exposed somewhere else, and it's going to mean that I cannot finish in the proper way. You've
Yeah,
just got to sacrifice positionally too. It's like, well, this doesn't look like it's going to work, but I'm going to put a twist in here and surprise the reader, and it really is going to come out at the end and go, oh, that was brilliant. Look what they did there. That's what
yeah,
you strive for.
yeah. I know. Lala, you mentioned that you did that several times, haven't you? I know
Well,
Jeff Otis talked about that. He cried about
yeah,
that
and I'll
actually.
mention it again. This is when it was a pair. Because I write a lot of paranormal, and the publisher got back to me and she said you really need to lighten up with the sex scene here, because what you're doing is, you need to make it a little bit lighter. Your focus is on the paranormal. It's leaning more, you're almost leaning more toward a romantic, paranormal romantic story. So yeah, I had to go back and I had to really lighten up that sex scene. And she was right. She was correct.
Nice. Now, how much success did you get after you did that with that book?
I think it worked out, but you know what? I got to tell you the truth, and I think I mentioned this on your show before. I had one reader, and it was in a review, and I wish I could find it. I probably could find it, and she just said that she thought that she wanted she thought that the romance scene or the sex scene could have been a little more graphic. So see, there you go.
Yeah, huh? Yep.
I didn't win with that one.
Is there one particular story or book that Dale that you regret taking the part out or what?
Oh no, that's the thing is the nice thing about independent publishing is I don't publish until I'm happy with the story. If I think something's not working, I let it sit and simmer until things come up. I think I mentioned before I took one book, the first book I wrote 35 years until I published it because it
Wow.
just wasn't right. And I knew it wasn't right. And I did not have the skill and the technique and the ideas to complete it the way I wanted to until one day, after working on it for so long, different pieces came together and suddenly there it was. And sometimes that's a game too. Your pieces are all in a jumble all over the board. They're not communicating with each other, they're not reinforcing each other. And then all of a sudden, you see the way through. I got it. Now they can move in a coordinated attack and finish the game. And that's what you can do with a story. So regrets, no. I have had surprise characters come in a second draft that took over the book. That's
Wow.
always fun.
Wow. I
Yeah.
like that. That's a challenge. That's good deal. I have never done that, but yeah, surprise characters. I like that because you just don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
somebody wasn't even in the first draft and then came in and then took over, and she was the focus of the book. And I'm like,
Oh my
wow.
gosh.
Oh, it's so much fun when that happens.
So,
yeah.
how do you think that happens? Do you think that maybe it's some sort of intuition, or maybe they were there all along, just kind of hiding in the sidelines and saying, "Hey, I want to be in this book." How do you think that happens?
That's the way that the story can surprise you. And that's the fun part of what we do is we have a plan, just like in chess, you have a game, and then something happens and you go, oh boy, I really need to change how I'm thinking about this because I wasn't going to develop that queen side at all, but that looks like the way to move forward. Oh yes, that's really making the game possible and a win right here. It's just a natural progression of what we do as storytellers. We get
Right.
ideas and I go, "Oh, let me play with that idea. Oh boy, that's a great one. Let me keep that."
Yeah, I never thought about that, but bringing that up about bringing a surprise character in, I have never done that, but now you've you've really piqued my interest with this.
Oh, good, because that's always the most fun. You start out with your plan. You're moving along in your day, and
Right.
you're going. And when that happens, that means it was meant to happen. And that's the fun part of what we do, is that when you surprise and delight yourself with something like that, you're going to delight the reader as well, because you're going to make that character sing and mean something, and it will to the reader as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I like that.
Make it sound so easy, you know what I mean? But when you
And it
sacrifice
sounds
that queen,
easy.
when you
Watch
sacrifice
me
that
try it, and I'd
queen,
be like,
forget
"Oh my
about
God, I need to call Dale for help."
Now, how do you get to Carnegie Hall?
it.
Practice,
Yeah.
practice, practice.
There you go. So Dale, how many times do you sacrifice the queen and then like, oh, I should have done that. Should have moved the
Ooh.
rook instead.
Well, I did sacrifice a character which I really liked, and somebody said, "Oh, I wanted to see more of that character." I go, "Yeah, but they've been in 3 books, and it's time. That kind of person really needs a natural ending, because how often can you go, here they come again?" You know, if it's an antagonist, it's like, oh, come on, it's like those superhero comics where the villain never goes down completely. They always bounce back up in the
Yeah,
next
yeah, yeah.
issue, and here they are again. It's like, yeah, not too much.
Yeah. All right. Next point. The end game. The end game in chess is about converting your strategic advantage into victory. It's a phase requiring precision and focus. Similarly, the conclusion of a book is where all plot threads come together and the narrative reaches its climax and resolution. What say you guys?
Yes, the ending, like Poe said, is that effect you want on the reader, of which they sit there and go, "That's how it really needed to end. Oh, that's perfect." And a good game does that when you focus, your limited resources, because everything has worked right to that moment. But I don't tie up every single plot thread. Once in a while, I'll leave something unexplained, because life doesn't always give us very neat explanations. It doesn't give us events wrapped up and tied with a bow that present our complete understanding. Sometimes there's a little bit of mystery left over. And sometimes, I don't know how I came up with that move. I don't know how I slid that pawn down that rank and got a queen and won the game, but it happened, and I like it. And I want to study that and try to do it again.
There you go. What say you, Lala?
Yeah, you guys kind of talking about more of like a surprised and not a like not a closed ending, like an open ended. Because I've done that in one of my stories, and not every story ends happily, and it'll end the way that we want it to end because it just kind of fits the story. And I had one book where a woman said, because one of my books that was The Last Vestal Virgin, and her mother had to let her go back to ancient Rome, back to another realm. And the mother was just, and someone said, "How could you do that?" And it just, yeah, it just fits the story. I'm sorry that it didn't end pretty pink, but was what it was.
Right, that's life.
It is
And
life.
what we do is try to hold up a mirror to life, and sometimes we tilt the mirror a little bit.
We do. We do.
Yeah, coming up with a well-crafted end game or conclusion. I think that's one of the toughest. I think.
Yeah, a
Besides,
lot of people
besides the
aren't
middle.
good at some people who are good at opening in chess and playing well cannot complete the ending. They can't get to the end game and see what they need to make the game end well. And in writing, you see that sometimes too. It's like, boy, did you miss a trick there? You just it was all messy. It didn't
Yeah,
work.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. What say you, Lorraine?
Yeah, we've all heard of the hurry up ending. You know what I'm talking about? We know what that
Yeah,
is, where it's like, you're reading and it's like, well, wait a minute, wait. It ends abruptly, and not all the loose ends are tied. But I think sometimes, and even you'll see that, in a movie, and you're like, did the author just want to hurry up and end it? But yeah, the hurry up ending.
yeah,
And
yeah.
sometimes you'll see that it's padded by 30,000 words to
Yeah.
make the the minimum required by the publisher, and you're like, you
Exactly.
could have ended this game, 12 moves ago.
Right. Right.
But that's what spoils it. You know what I mean? When these big publishing companies, whatever, they want you to, but it just ruins the whole tone, and it's
Yeah.
just terrible.
It certainly does. And that's why the nice thing again about being independent is it's as long as it needs to be. I
Yep.
mean, I was a technical writer, so I write very lean. And what I do is what Elmore Leonard says, leave out the parts that people skip.
Right.
So a lot of my books come in around 50,000 words instead of the 80,000 that, modern publishing seems to really want, so they can sell a nice fat book and charge a higher price for it.
Exactly.
I'm like, nope, the story is what it is.
All right. Point 8, analyzing the game. After a chess game, players often analyze their moves to understand what worked and what didn't. Writers too review and revise their drafts, seeking to improve the story's flow, coherence, and impact. What say you guys?
Oh, yeah, that's the nice thing is when you record a chess game, you can go back later and see what worked and what didn't work. And this exact same thing, Mike, is perfect with our writing. The nice thing is we have all this published work and all these drafts, and we can see if something went wrong, where it went wrong and how it went wrong. And then when something really worked, we can go, oh, I want to try to do that again.
What say you, Lala?
Yeah, and the last two books, I've been trying something different that I have not done before. I have been recording as I go along. No, maybe like 3 or 4 chapters, and then I read it back, and I've been listening to the story, and I'm going to tell you that has really been a game changer for me because you can really hear, wait a minute, stop, that doesn't sound right. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, Lala. That's perfect because I always recommend that to authors. You need to read your work out loud
Yes.
because anything which clunks, anything which sounds a little tin on the ear means you might want to revisit that. You need to examine that and see if that's the right way to move forward. Perfect. Thank you for bringing that up.
Right. Well, as a long veteran teacher and a reading teacher, that's a tactile response, to read out loud and to use those vocal muscles and verbal. And I've always had my students read passages aloud, and even for not so much for understanding, for comprehension, for story flow, because as writers, we need to make sure our fluency is correct as well as in our sentences. So that is a big help.
Mm-hmm.
I have to concur with Lorraine because she was one of my beta readers for that last
Yes.
book I read, and she really hit all points. And thank you, Lorraine, for that.
Well, it was good. Let me tell you, I enjoyed that thoroughly. So that's going to be a big hit. Going to be a big hit, Michael.
All right.
Isn't that nice, Mike, when somebody goes, hey, that was a really good game. You did well there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Many times. Yeah. Yes. All right. Final point. So, whether maneuvering knights and bishops or crafting compelling characters and plot lines, both chess and writing require a blend of strategy, creativity, and adaptability. You agree with that?
Yeah. The nice thing about chess is you have a lot of different pieces which move in different ways and control different aspects of the game. And the same with writing, you have techniques that work, you have tried and true, I wouldn't say formulas, but guidelines of this kind of thing is the effect you want. So if you want to manipulate an emotion to do this, you need to set this up this way. So you're going to move that bishop to a certain square, which has control, and then takes on an aspect of importance. Same thing in your writing. Each individual scene, each individual bit that you put in should contribute to that entire total effect by the end.
There you go. What say you, Lorraine?
Yeah, and I agree. Basically, like I said, you have a structure, you have a style that works for you. But I also think that sometimes that structure needs to change. And as we write, we evolve to move into another structure that might work better than has for our previous books. What do you think about that, Dale?
Yeah, sometimes I'll write a story without knowing where it's going to go, and sometimes I will have an idea of what I want, but it will change. And I'm like, oh, boy, I wasn't expecting that.
Exactly.
Nice. So, I think that went pretty well. Lorraine, you sure you never played the game? I think
Yeah, I was just typing. No, no. You know what? My speed is Go Fish, War, and Old Maid.
Little fish.
And then there
I
was
haven't played
another
that in
one.
years.
No,
Little
I've
fish.
never. Yeah, I keep telling my husband we need to. Let's learn to play chess. We keep saying it, but we have never done it. So
Really? Yeah.
no, but I'd like to learn.
The last,
There are a lot of excellent tutorials online.
Yeah,
yes.
Eva, who couldn't be here today because she has an appointment. She's good at chess. She's a chess player.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, I haven't played a good game
Hmm.
in about 11 years. When I last played with my son, we played like 30 games and I beat him by one game.
Wow.
And yeah, it was yeah, he's pretty good.
He
I
must
told him
be a
at the
man.
age of yeah, I told him young when he was like 6, 7 years old. He
Oh,
really
that's
enjoyed it.
awesome.
So, yeah, he did pretty good. How about you? How about you play quite a bit of that, Dale?
I used to. I used to be a champion, and I had to retire when life kept coming with more stuff to do, and I couldn't sit there all day on a Saturday for hours and hours. It's like I lost the patience for doing that. And yet I went into writing where you sit for hours and hours working on a
Yep,
particular thing. Yeah,
yep.
yeah, funny.
So you're doing the same thing? Yep, yep,
Yeah. Wow. How about that? I just realized that.
yeah, yeah. And it's something you love. You love both things, but one's
Oh yeah,
supersedes the other.
I love putting together a well constructed game. And then when you make a move that everything collapses, it's the same in writing when everything's going along great, and then all of a sudden you do something and you're scratching your head and go, why did I do that? That's not what this needs. It's just ruining everything.
Aw.
How many times that happened to you, Lori?
A couple times. Yep. Then I had to go back and I had to alter things, in the previous chapters. And I hate it because, I kind of can refer to that as in teaching, you give a story back to a student and you're saying, do a rewrite. And they're like, oh no, no, I don't want to do that. All the red circled parts. That's how I feel.
Yeah. So now, anyway, now I just play. Sometimes I play the game by myself, both
There you
sides.
go.
Very difficult to do, but yeah. But no one wins. No
Now we're
one wins.
No,
No
everybody
one
wins.
wins.
Everybody wins.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I guess you could say that, but I never seem to finish the game.
Huh.
It'll just, it'll just sit there for hours. I'll be like, okay, what I do next?
Well, how about in your writing? Do you ever finish the game?
Ah,
Yeah, but it takes forever. That's for sure. I'm not
There
gonna
yeah,
you
sit
you're
go.
2.5
You're
years
true.
playing the game and never finishing. That's terrible. Look at that. Anyway, this was pretty good. I really enjoyed it. Too bad that Jeff wasn't here again. I
Yes,
hope he's
where
doing,
is he? I
I
miss
hope
him.
he's
He's
doing
a hoot.
okay.
He's a hoot.
Yeah. Oh, I can imagine his feedback. I gotta, I gotta imagine. He probably what was it? ID Clear War. That's probably his game. I don't think he's ever played. But anyway, yeah, I was watching. I don't know if you've seen this movie. It's called Searching for Bobby Fischer,
Yeah.
Heard of
and
it.
it's a great movie. It's a great movie, and it just the idea just came out. I said, you know what? Maybe there's comparison between writing and chess. Maybe let me see if I can what I can do with that, and I think it turned out pretty good. You guys did awesome.
Yeah, there's a great thing in that movie, Mike. When someone is explaining to the young lad who's doing so well, he says, "You see that guy over there? He is a champion, and he was like this nervous wreck, chewing his nails,
Yes,
full
yes,
of angst." And he says, That guy is a champion, and he made like $2,000 last year.
Oh,
Now
wow.
you can
Yes.
take that as a lot of writers who are sitting there, writing their hearts out, not making a lot of money, and all full of angst about it at what they do, even though they're really good at it.
Oh,
I
my.
think there's a lot of similarity.
Wow. I didn't think about that. Yeah. 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 $2,000, and he was all he cared about you know getting the Rook. I think it was. That's what he cared about. If he makes a
Well,
mistake,
you've
I'll
got writers like David Foster Wallace, who is an absolute genius, and yet so full of things that were going on in his mind that he took his own life. And there's a lot
Oh,
of writers who have,
oh,
I'd say, mental issues, and the writing can sometimes cure and sometimes make things worse depending on
yeah.
how they view it.
Very true. No, now I got the chills. Yeah, very
It's
true.
funny you say that, Dale, because playing the game of chess, it can really get to you. I've known people who lost their minds because of it. Same
Oh
thing with
my
writing.
God, that's
Yeah.
horrible.
Yes. Yes.
I don't
It
think
can
Old Maid ever had me go crazy.
Yeah. And there was
They
a
can-
controversy a few years ago about one player who was accused of cheating, which is like, well, that's really difficult. But it's like, imagine if you wrote a book using AI or just
Yeah.
stole somebody else's work,
Oh
the same
God.
sort of thing. That taint, that accusation will stay with you forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Have you guys heard about Dean Koontz's most recent book?
No, what happened?
Well, I forgot what the title was, but there are rumors that he used AI. Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Uh-oh. Wah,
Mm-hmm.
wah, wah.
I know. Wah,
Well,
wah. Yeah, really. Really.
it's scary because I know I think we talked about it last week or whatnot. It's scary because our folks gonna be able to decipher what's you know someone wrote from their top of their heads and compared to a computer that did whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Would there be how will people differentiate the vote?
Well, Stephen King once used an example. He said this guy tried to write a bestseller. What he did was take, a dozen particular bestsellers and try to write to formula. He said, I'm gonna do this because this worked here. I'm gonna do this because this worked here. And he put them together, and it was just an absolute mess that did not work.
Oh,
And I
Oh
believe that's
man,
probably what AI is gonna do. Put
yeah.
stuff together that's just not quite there. You'll still have that uncanny valley of that's just not human.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, if you look at, like I said, if you look at, I can not always, but tell someone that's written a book by AI because it's very cold, it's very abrupt, and it's very abstract. It kind of lacks that human element, that organic element.
Right, the uncanny valley.
Yeah.
interesting. Well, I really enjoyed this show. I really enjoyed the topic. You guys did fantastic, and
Well, thank
we'll
you for the
see.
invitation, Michael. And thank you,
We'll see
Dale.
Lorraine plays the
Yes,
game.
better games for everyone.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very good for everyone. Well, anyway, it's been a great show, and I think starting next week, I believe, there will be no more live streaming here on Podbean.
Okay. Oh.
Uh, yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I still do recordings, but I guess it won't be live. I guess it won't be.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be.
Oh, you can always go to YouTube.
There you go.
Yeah, so I guess we could still do it. We record the shows, but it won't be live.
Right. Right.
Something about saving a buck or two. You know how that goes. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Anyway, that's life.
What are you gonna do?
All right.
Well, thank you, Michael, and everyone. Listen, have a great day and rest of your week.
Thank you,
too.
Lorraine. Have an awesome one.
Bye now.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. Bye bye.
All right, Dale. How many cups? How many cups, Dale?
Oh, just one today.
Just one?
Just one. I know the trouble is when you drink really good coffee, sometimes like the attraction of that second cup is like, oh, it calls to you.
I've already had three, so
Whoa. Whoa. Back off there, cowboy.
Hey, I've told you before, man. Addicted, addicted. Yeah,
You
what
will
are you
not
gonna
be
do?
able to sit down and write.
All right, then. Well, you have a good one and enjoy the rest of this week.
Thank you. You too.
All right, Dale. Have a good one. All right, then. That was a good topic. I really enjoyed that. The panel did a fantastic job. I still say Lorraine plays the game. She just don't tell anybody. Anyway, she did pretty good. She did pretty good responding to the questions or to the points I mentioned. Anyway, it's been a great show. I want to thank you guys for listening in. And you know what I say? Don't forget your coffee and have a great week.